Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Kent City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. If you could all rise and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Kim, could you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas. Councilmember Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Kim. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Any changes?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd recommend the council add an item 8N, an excused absence for Councilmember Thomas, who is ill this evening.
All right. Okay, with that change, the addition of an excused absence for Councilmember Thomas. Any other changes? Okay, a motion would be in order.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right. We have a jam-packed agenda this evening. A lot of business happening, a lot of things to celebrate, and then just work to be done. So we are going to start under public communications with public recognition. Any public recognition from the council? All right, not seeing any. We'll move on to community events. Really quickly, before I pass it over to Council President Boyce, we have Kent 101 registration is open. So that is our 8-week-long Civics Academy here for the City of Kent. Each week is dedicated to a different department and learning about how we do things from administration, public works, police department, law, parks. Great way to learn about the things that are happening in your city. That is going to be in person. Encourage you to take a look at it and get registered, and it starts at the beginning of April. All right, Council President Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to share some of the things that's going on at the Asphalt Grinding Center. So Saturday, March 19th, we will have the Seattle Thunderbird versus the Portland Winterhawks. Now, I'm going to get your help. I don't know how to pronounce this here. I'm not going to mess it up. So,
Oh,
what
like
is
you
that?
think I can. Corridos Bellicos El Raton Tour.
Sunday, March 20th, okay? Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good teamwork. With that said, Tacoma Star versus the Shacknew Savage on Friday, March 25th. The Seattle Thunderbird versus the Vancouver Giants on Saturday, March 26th. Tacoma Stars again versus the Shacknew Savage on Sunday, March 27th. We also have a Label Council Fair, Career Fair, Thursday at April 28th. Then we have the Awaken Music Festival on Saturday, May 21st. So we also have this new football league called the X League. They will debut at the Asphalt Grinding Center on Saturday, June 25th. So a game between the Seattle Thunderbird and the Denver Rush. I don't like anything about Denver because Russell wasn't gone. So, but anyway, that's what's going on at the Asphalt Grinding Center. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have our last two performances for the Kent Spotlight Series this coming Friday night. We have Alpin Hong, and he's also going to be doing some presentations, 4 different presentations for our high schoolers. And then the following Friday, we have Masters of Hawaiian Music, who are on that same day, are going to do a special presentation over at the Senior Center. So be sure to get your tickets, go online, go on to the city website, kentwa.gov, and you will be able to enjoy some great entertainment.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Very much looking forward to the Alpin Hong show. If you have not seen him, he is amazing. Strongly encourage you to get tickets. Fun evening for sure. All right. The next item on our agenda under public communications is our public safety report. And joining us tonight is Chief Padilla.
Alrighty. Kim, I don't see a clicker. Do you have it? No, that's okay.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. I like that. It's my pleasure to bring you tonight's report. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment to stop and just offer our thoughts and prayers to the Pierce County Sheriff's Department and the families of the 2 deputies. For those who have not heard, 2 deputies were shot today. One is recovering and one is listed as gravely ill, which is never something easy to hear. So we know what they're going through. We have reached out, Mayor, to offer our support to them through our peer support, honor guard, and all of that. So we'll see what's coming in a few days. But yeah, sadly, it's just a sobering reminder of some of the dangers, right, that our people face. So thoughts and prayers, hearts go out to them. On a totally opposite spectrum and hard transition here, we want to start tonight by doing some swearing in, bringing in Kent's newest and finest officers. So I'd like to call up Officers Krishan Kumar, Officers Keon Hamilton, and Officer Ozzy Orona. Please come up front, please. They've already got the whole in order thing figured out. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our, in council, this is our newest members of the police department. From left to right, I'll go through their biographies here. On the far left is Krishan Kumar. He is an entry-level officer, just graduated from the police academy, and is our first ever graduate from the Community Emerging Law Enforcement Program. So, Krishan is from Fiji Islands and moved here when he was 8 years old. He speaks Fiji Hindi fluently. And before starting with Kent, he and his 2 brothers had started a Fijian food business that struggled because of the pandemic at the time. Krishan had several choices. He was testing with multiple agencies throughout King County, but selected Kent PD, and we're very glad he did that. Partly because there's lots of friends who live and work in this area. He spent time in the city while he was growing up. Kent's cultural diversity is appealing to him, and he's hoping to use his unique Indo-Fijian culture background to help bridge the gap between law enforcement and the large Pacific Islander and East Indian populations in Kent. So, ladies and gentlemen, Officer Krishan Kumar. Krishan, did you have anybody in the audience you wanted to introduce? Have to say hello? Sure. Put them on the spot? Who's applying, right? Robert's applying, I heard, yes. Right, Robert.
Then my girlfriend's mom, Jeannie, and then her partner, Mark.
Excellent. Welcome. Next up in the middle there, we have Officer Keon Hamilton. He is an in-state lateral. He is what the police chiefs currently refer to as a unicorn, because you want to find them and they're hard to find. Meaning he's coming to us from another department in the state, and he's already achieved certification and experience in handling Washington laws and doing it our way. So very, very high demand. Keanu graduated from Tulalip Heritage High School and is currently working to complete his associate's degree. He and his girlfriend, I'm going to say this wrong, Silavina, did I get close? Correct. Have an 11-year-old son, and they plan to get married later this year. Keanu is an enrolled Alaska Native. Now, he wrote that. Keanu, what is, I presume that means you're actual Native American, but is there anything else to that?
No, it just means I'm not let you go.
Okay, all right. All right. So he is an enrolled Alaska Native, and before Kent PD, Keanu worked in the city of Milton Police Department for 1.5 years, and then prior to that, Tulalip Police Department for 3 years. So he comes with some experience. He chose Kent because he was looking for a faster pace than the departments he'd experienced before. He's certainly going to get that here. He also wants to be busier and able to make a greater difference. When not working, Keanu enjoys hanging out with his family and playing sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Officer Keanu Hamilton. I forgot to ask you before, Keanu, did you have anybody able to make it tonight?
No, my son's actually 11 months old, which is why they're not here. He is sleeping, and yeah.
Yeah, I have 11 years. My bad. I don't want to age him. Take your time.
I would have been 12.
Really,
All righty. Yes, how to have fun with the chief. That's great. So, all right. Well, next up, last but certainly not least, we have Ozzy Orona. He is a lateral officer in state as well. So we have 2 unicorns in this class. Ozzy is originally from Houston, Texas. He's lived all over because he's served in the military. He is married with no children currently, but does have a German Shepherd and a Doberman. Unless I got that part wrong, did somebody put notes in here? He has a bachelor's degree in criminology, and he has spent 15 years serving in the Army, 5 years on active duty, and 10 years with the National Guard. During his service, he had 2 deployments to Iraq and 1 to Kosovo. Before Kent PD, he was an officer with Tacoma Police Department, which is, I was telling them before we started tonight, I don't like to poach from our neighbors, but times are kind of interesting right now, so we are poaching. Sorry, Chief Driver. But he also served with the Dallas PD in Texas prior to us. Ozzy chose Kent because he has close ties with those within our organization and has several family and friends who work for the city of Kent. He also recognized, this was his words, that there is great support from the city council and the mayor here, which is important to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Officer Ozzy Aranyo. Ozzy, anybody in the family you want to give a shout out to?
I have my lovely wife, Carolyn, and then I have a support group, officers, Robinson, Flesher, Officer Bowman, and his lovely wife, Laura, here to support me. So
Excellent.
Definitely have a good support system here.
Well, welcome to the family. Yeah, our top recruiters are definitely our current rank and file, so that helps a ton. With that, Madam Mayor, would you do the honors, please?
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, LCL Ivan Arjona,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the United States of America,
to the United States of America,
the state of Washington,
state of Washington,
and the city of Kent.
and the city of Kent,
That I will uphold the Constitution
that I will uphold the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and that I will obey the rules and regulations
and that I will obey the rules and regulations
of the Kent Police Department.
of the Kent Police Department.
All right, it is officially official. Congratulations, gentlemen. Welcome to the family. Over, and the last test is going to be to sign these, and you have to find which one is yours to sign. So that's the test. And then we'll do pictures. It was a test, and now I'm going to mix them all up.
Welcome aboard. Nice to have you, man. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Okay. Were you in the Army?
Yes.
What unit you was in?
So I was with 3rd Brigade Infantry Division here at Fort Lewis.
Oh, really? Okay.
All right, guys, thank you.
Rangers out of Fort Lewis.
Oh, see, that's above here.
Yeah, you fine. Hey, congratulations, bud. Huh? Oh, yeah, military. I got to figure where was that? Yeah.
Well, I got to meet a lady that's doing some housing
Hey.
work, and she graduated from KM today. So.
All righty.
It's
So
all
next
good.
up,
Yeah.
a little more good news. I wanted to present or update the public on a life-saving medal I bestowed on Officer Taylor Burns. So if you or the community is looking at this slide and going, I've seen his face up here before. That would be correct because this would be Officer Burns' 4th life-saving medal.
Wow.
He's leading the way in terms of these. He seems to be the guy who's always in the right spot at the right time. So let me tell you what he did. Back on January 6, 2022, he was dispatched to a medical emergency involving an adult who was in a vehicle, adult male, and was not breathing. So witnesses had called this in. When he arrived, he did a quick medical assessment, discovering that the male did have a pulse still, which was good, but was not breathing. A witness at scene also informed Officer Burns that the male might have been overdosing from drugs. So they knew that somehow. Officer Burns administered a Narcan dose, which we have all our officers carrying in their cars and on them, and began CPR compressions for some time. During the CPR, he was able to get the male breathing again, and he regained consciousness and ultimately survived the overdose incident. The actions of Officer Burns exemplify our department's mission of protecting and caring for the people in our community and our values of service, and our visions of improving the lives of the community members we serve. It should be noted, like I said, this is number 4 for him. He could not join us tonight. He is on leave, but we appreciate him and celebrate him nonetheless. Please join me in congratulating him. And I also want to note that over the years, our officers have saved dozens of people from these type of overdoses. So it's good that we have those resources. We have AEDs in the car, and we have life trauma first aid kits. I also do want to note that with the emergence of fentanyl has now become the #1 killer of adults in our country, which is incredibly scary. So while we will always respond to these calls, we all hope that there could be something better done to help avert these type of tragedies. So that said, congratulations to Officer Taylor Burns.
I kind of want to put him on speed dial.
Okay. From 2 good things to a not so great thing, but we want to make sure that we're updating the community on when things happen. So as many of you are aware, this past weekend we had a violent incident that occurred at the Kent Station. And so I wanted to provide an update with that incident. On Saturday, March 12th, just after 1 p.m., we had an assault that involved 1 male victim and 1 male suspect inside the public restroom on the east side of the shopping complex. Officers were dispatched and arrived within a couple of minutes, immediately rendering aid to the male victim who had sustained several slash and stabbing wounds. Officers packed the wounds with gauze and applied tourniquets and did some other life-saving measures. Fire responded. We got the victim quickly transported to a local hospital for medical treatment. At the same time, other officers began to arrive and saturate the area looking for the suspect. Our K-9 team was dispatched to conduct a track. That team was successful in locating the weapon that was used, which was a machete. We did not locate the suspect that first night, but the investigation continued. Our detectives were able to work with Kent Station personnel to locate video, which helped us identify who this person was. And 2 days later, yesterday, I'm pleased to report we did locate the male suspect, and we do have him in custody. So he's facing that. At last check, the victim is recovering from his injuries and I believe is released from the hospital. So we'll hopefully pull through. This awful incident drew a lot of attention, and several dozen community members, were impacted by this. But I wanted to make sure we took a time to say that Kent Station continues to be a wonderful and safe place to do shopping and business or go see a show. The management team there works very hard to ensure security. They work very closely with us. In recent years, they've done security advancements, including the camera systems that they have there, which was very helpful in this case. And they've elevated their security team. We've had a chance to interact with their new security manager. So a lot of work going on. This is an unusual occurrence for Kent Station. And so we encourage people to keep going there, and we will step up our patrols there as well. So with that, I'll move on to the next thing here. Wanted to talk a little bit, Mary, you had mentioned this, I believe, in a prior address about some of the graffiti cleanup, but I wanted to, that picture makes me laugh for some reason, but I wanted to talk about some of the things we're doing out there. That's Sergeant Eric Tung there in the front with his thumb up, and Officer Eric Steffes there. They're part of our neighborhood response team. And because of staffing issues, they are the neighborhood response team. So it used to be a team of 5, it's now down to 2, but we're hanging in there. We will be refilling that unit. So they're going out. If you look at that picture, that is the old Pizza Hut that used to be at Pack Highway 232. It used to become a dental office. That area there at Pack Highway and Kent Des Moines Road, as you know from last year, we've experienced a lot of violence there and shootings. So one of the issues was the graffiti in the area, and so our team went up there and literally got to work. Here's what the property looked like just in that one area there, and if you looked around that street, you'd see a lot more of that. And that's what it looked like when they got done painting it over and cleaning it up. So it is not the normal role of our officers to go out and do graffiti cleanup, but they were trying to do extra to stop the criminal activity and try to help restore some of that area. As you know, the good news is it looks like we will have a tenant soon at that property, and which will always be good for things in that area. So that was one of the initiatives they did last year. And then this year, we teamed up with Lowe's, and this is the one I believe, Mayor, you participated in. Lowe's has been phenomenal in terms of community support and getting out and doing stuff, and their staff is outstanding. But back in February of this year, they went out with our community education unit and our neighborhood response team and hit multiple locations on the West Hill, and then moved their way to Central Avenue, and then even went out as far as Kent Kangley out east, and just went out and just located properties where we had the authority to go and do paint over. Again, we don't have the capacity we'd like to see in this regard, but our employees are doing and working and doing what they can. So great effort in that regard. I just wanted to acknowledge them and thank them for that work. I think we already saw some of that in your prior report, Mayor. Next up, we are hiring, like I said, KentPoliceRecruiting.com. Keep that in mind if you have anybody that wants to be a police officer. I wanted to provide the council with an update on our hiring because I know it is a top priority for us. And my report tonight's a little bit of a mixed bag. We have challenges still ahead, but basically we are making solid progress and doing everything we can. The challenge in front of us is that due to the departure of several officers in 2021, we still have 17 unfilled vacancies today. And that puts us at 148 of the 165 allotted positions. The good news is that since November, we've been hiring like crazy, and we've hired 17 officers since November, which is a lot. That's usually a year's total, higher than normal year's total in about 4 months. So we're on the right track. A lot of the investments, like the hiring incentive, has paid off. 5 of our most recent hires, including the 2 you saw here, were directly recruited here because that was an attractive thing, along with the high salary and benefit package that you supported, in addition to our recruiting efforts with the video, our social media. And I can't say this enough, we are hearing over and over again, these strong candidates are choosing places where they know they have strong support from their elected. It's really important to them. So all of that is making a dent. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Some other notable facts here, we are completing 8 officers through the Community Immersion Law Enforcement Program, CLIP, and we will have 12 officers through that program by June. Like I said, the efforts we took last year to stabilize staffing are paying off, and recruiting and retention. We are also seeing positive diversity numbers, with 35% of our officers in the last year being of people of underrepresented. So our BIPOC and our female community members are 35% represented in the hiring. We've added some personnel to the hiring unit starting April 1st. Sergeant Tung, who you saw in that prior slide, is being reassigned to recruiting, along with Officer Brian Cortines. We're stepping up our recruiting game because while we did some of the traditional things, I didn't have the staffing to put people out at community events, cultural events, colleges, you name it. That's our top priority, so we're putting people there. And so we're going to recruit everywhere we can. We also are reestablishing our race and equity officer starting April 1st, and I'll save that for a future report. But that officer is going to be directly aligned with our hiring and recruiting team so that we will see an increased presence in regards to inclusion, race, and equity throughout our process. We're working hard to be a very attractive place to work, and so I wanted to report that. This is no way a declaration of victory, but we have some positive signs, some positive movement, and we will keep working. Again, to our community, if you have anyone that's interested in being a police officer, please, please, please give us a call. All right, so there's that. And then last but not least, I want to do a shameless plug for an upcoming Hops and Cops event. As you can see on the screen there, we are doing this next Thursday, March 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Airways Tap Room. I always struggle with this event because, well, everyone else gets to come out and enjoy great beverages. I don't. But just a note, you will have to pay for your own beverage, adult beverage, if you choose so, but we will have snacks and other beverages there. The trade-off is you get to come support a local business, great craft brewery, at the same time engage with your officers, and we get the benefit of doing something non-traditional to spend time with our community. The last time we held Hops and Cops, it was standing room only. So I would recommend if you're going to go, get there early because it'll fill up pretty quick, I'm sure. And I want to make sure there isn't any confusion because there are 2 Airways locations. We are going to be at the Airways Tap Room, which is on South 212th Street, up north, and not at the bistro here downtown, okay? Up north, not here in downtown. So hope to see you all there. With that, Madam Mayor, that completes my report for this month, and I'll take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Council President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, with the hiring that's going on, I'm assuming some of our neighboring city is experiencing some of the same thing for us with their force as well. That's something you see a pattern?
Yeah, so our HR director did, I think, a little informal poll, and I read through an email, and there were several agencies represented in that poll, mostly King County, but anywhere from 13 to 28% is what most cities are seeing in loss. So it's a regional thing.
Yeah, I think it was the city of Redmond that did that research, and they Kent was right in the middle. We were right in the middle with percentage of officers that have, and same reasons. Some leaving the force, some moving out of state.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Chief, and want to say one more time, welcome to our new officers, and we're excited to see them out there taking care of our community. Mm-hmm. All right, item number 5 on our agenda is reports from council and staff. This is an opportunity for everyone up here to share with you the work that they're doing outside of council and committee meetings. One of the things that, and you'll hear Council President report on it, but Sound Cities Association was a presentation at workshop tonight, and they're the organization of the 38 cities with the outside of Seattle, working to make sure that we all have a voice at the table in those regional conversations. So one of the things that the executive director of SCA pointed out is that the City of Kent Council is probably one of the most engaged in King County, with everybody taking time to be on those committees. So very, very proud of that work. I will make my report short this evening. We have, as we said, we've got a pretty long agenda. The regional committee meeting that I had last week was Transportation Policy Board. I do chair that board. We are in the process of developing the regional transportation plan. Comment period has closed. We have had received somewhere in the range of 500 comments. They're being divided up into technical comments, general comments, and then policy action. Because of the number of things to work through, we've added a second meeting for March. Transportation Policy Board will be meeting again March 31st with hopeful adoption or recommendation of adoption to Executive Board on April 14th. Also want to say thank you to our legislators. They did an amazing job working for the City of Kent, and session ended last week. You'll be hearing more about that at upcoming meetings and the things that, the work that they were able to do for us. We'll be having an update from Brianna, our lobbyist, at a meeting in April, I believe. Finally, a thank you to everyone that came out to the State of the City address, and thank you to amazing multimedia and communications team for making that happen. It was so nice to be back in the same space with everyone, talking about all of the things that we've accomplished the last year and some of the great things we've got looking forward to next year. In that same vein, was able to present to the Chamber of Commerce on Friday and talk about some of the great things going on in our business community. So want to thank them for the opportunity. With that, I am going to look to my right to our Chief Administrative Officer, Derek Matheson.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor. In the interests of the long agenda, I will keep it brief as well. I'll note that my written report is in your packet this evening. We do have an executive session for approximately 10 minutes to discuss litigation, and there will be no action when we reconvene in open session. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Council President.
I try to keep mine short and sweet as well, too. I do want to say kudos to you on the state of the city. I mean, that was really well done, and our media people done a phenomenal job, and great information that came out of that. So, and I think we have 4 or 5 other mayors from other cities to attend. One of the mayor, I think, is probably her first time doing it, and they said, well, if you really want to know how to do it, come to see Dana. And she brought 4 other with them, so to really kind of see how to do it. So, awesome job. Really appreciate that. Hey, real quickly, so in our ops and public safety, we did have a towing ordinance, and we made some slight modification to it. The purpose really is not to make it a punishing thing. I think an officer is going to work with the car that need to be towed and try to get a hold of owners before they actually tow the car away. So we made some modification to make it a lot more friendlier to the people who own the cars. We also did a 3-year contract with our IT with the company called Direct Contract to save some money by looking at a 3-year plan versus a 1-year plan. We had some conversation around equity and strategic plan around communication. Really doing a phenomenal job. I did talk to our manager. They're going to put it out on the website. Just all the good things we're doing with the communication, talking to people, working with the BIPOC community. Really, that plan, I look at it, maybe 6-7 months ago, and where it's at today. Really a solid plan, and we definitely take equity and conclusion serious in this city here. For the workshop, the mayor talked about the Sound City Association. All of us up here, all of my council members, sit on 2-3 committees, and we are well represented at the table for us really promoting Kent, and really do a good job. I think at the end of the day, you got 38 cities, which is about almost 1.2 million, right? So we represent, have a big voice. In Seattle, have 750,000. So when those 38 cities get together, we come as a whole, and we make sure the policy that we put in place don't hurt others. And if it doesn't impact you, we want to make sure we support our other neighboring cities. So I think the smallest one was 1,700, I think it was. Then Seattle, was it Bellevue at 52, was about Kirkland at 92, and then we the biggest at 139,000. So from the smallest to the biggest. So that was well done. And then we have our IT. Really, when I came on the council in 2012, along with Madam Mayor, our IT department was, in my opinion, and I say this many times, was held together by bubble gum and duct tape, right? So they really had come a long way over the last 8-9 years. We have a real solid IT team, and also some of the system that we have in place is really have helped the city move forward in so many ways. So we were really excited about seeing that. And with that said, I'm going to go to my left here, and then I'm going to start with my Councilmember Michelle, and she can talk about some of the things going on in her committee. Please.
Thank you, Council President. I serve as the chair of the Parks and Human Services Committee with Councilmember Kaur and Councilmember Troutner, and we had a really packed agenda recently. So the first thing was that we approved the 2022 to 2026 City Art Plan, and that will include 8 to 9 more traffic signal control boxes, which I know everyone loves. The second thing we did was we approved funds from AWC for our 2022 Summer Experience and Enrichment for Kids program. And the cool thing is that the money that they gave us will cover the entire program. And that includes summer day camp, the mobile recreation that goes out to the playgrounds, and the nutrition, the free lunches, and also water safety at Lake Meridian, including swim instruction and water safety. And if anyone wants to attend any of those and needs financial assistance, you can get more information on the website. And then we approved 2 consultant agreements for 2 different parks. The first one is the East Hill North Community Park Master Plan, formerly called Hughes or Panther Lake Community Park, and then also for the Mill Creek Canyon Master Plan. Also, we accepted money from the King County Conservation Futures Tax for money for the Mindell acquisition, which will be part of the Mill Creek Canyon. And also, we signed an agreement to redesign the trail near the Milwaukee 2 levee project. So lots of stuff going on in parks. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Michelle. Councilmember Core.
Thank you, Council President. I serve on Growth Management Planning Council, and I was elected as chair for the caucus for this year. And during our meeting, we basically talked about what GMPC does, which is working on the work plan. We work on countywide planning policies, establishing urban growth area boundaries, and much more. It also includes Affordable Housing Committee updates, and Councilmember Larmer serves on that committee, and that committee will be giving the recommendation to Growth Management Planning Council to make any countywide planning policy amendments. For this year, our major work will be on urban growth areas and policies and 4-to-1 program. More to come on that in future meetings. I also serve as the chair for Puget Sound Clean Air Agency Advisory Council, and we had update on a strategic planning. There will be more community engagement open houses happening in spring, and most of them will be virtual, and also in person in May and June. They are looking for a new executive director and hoping to hire that by late spring. And we also had update on our fiscal year 23 budget process. And as we all know, inflation is skyrocketed, so it's impacting the budget for Puget Sound Clean Air Agency, and 80% of their cost is personnel. And with the CPI being unexpected, we are looking for grants to try to fund that budget. And Dinah Wilson is their new equity manager. So I was surprised to see her there, but good for them. We also had update on there were 25 bills related to climate that are headed to the governor's desk for signing. And in future, we will be collaborating with PSRC on road transportation, decarbonization of transportation system in their long-range planning for Vision 2050. I also serve on K4C, and we had our meeting last Friday, and you probably all got an email to attend K4C one-on-one, which is happening on March 30th at 3 p.m. And there's also a spring elected official work session happening on April 12th, or April 21st. More to come on that. And I think that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Core. Councilmember Larmer.
Thank you, Council President. As Councilmember Core mentioned, I serve on the King County Affordable Housing Committee, and we will be meeting the second week of April, so I'll have a more comprehensive report next time. I also serve on the King County Aging and Disabilities Advisory Council, and we met last Friday. We had a presentation from King County prosecutors and the State Department of Health and Human Services on adult protective services and specifically elder financial abuse. So really compelling report. Some of the statistics they shared is that when it comes to elder abuse, for every one case they see, they estimate 23 are not reported. But when it comes to financial abuse of elders, they estimate for every one, there's 43 not reported. So it's almost double. And in the case of financial elder abuse, the perpetrators are usually family or trusted friends, unfortunately. But a few things that I thought were interesting too that I hadn't realized is that there's actually, they can prosecute based on something that's called theft by deception. So it's even taking money from an elder, even an elder family member, for the purpose of a loan, but using that money for an unintended purpose. So, saying you need $50,000 from grandma for a house payment or housing down payment, but using it for something else, that actually constitutes theft by deception. And then taking physical assets without knowledge of that person, of course, is also, even if it's a family heirloom, it still can be considered theft by deception. So yeah, it's unfortunately, something that's out in the community, and I think is something we all need to be aware of. There's some really good resources out on the DHSH site. It's a little hard to get to the website, so what I would say is just I would Google DSHS and Adult Protective Services, and those keywords together will get you to the right place. You can report this. Anybody can report it, and you can report it online. There's a tool on that website, or you can call 1-877-734-6277 to report as well. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Lauber. Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Council President Boyce. I chair the Economic and Community Development Committee meeting. We met last night, and we had an update on the Naden assemblage, and we heard from Avenue 55. We will be hearing from them again this evening during other business. We also appointed Andrew Hutchison to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. His term had expired, but because no one else applied for that committee, he agreed to stay on. So I just want to thank him for his commitment and is willing to continue to serve. And then we also approved a grant for the LTAC to ECDC for a contract with J-Ray for Visit Kent.com tourism. They do our promotion and campaign for that website. They've got a lot of great things coming up in the next year, including utilizing geolocation technology and data to identify audiences for certain content and offerings that we'll have. So if you imagine certain audiences that would particularly come to an event, we're able to target and focus on advertisement for particular people. So kind of interesting technology that they are looking forward to using in the coming year. And then I also am vice chair of the Regional Transit Committee. We will meet tomorrow afternoon. I am also on the governance board for the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority, along with President Boyce and Councilmember Thomas, and we meet tomorrow evening as well. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Troutner. Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you very much, Council President. I chair Public Works, and at our last meeting, we had some conversations about Milwaukee 2 levies, which we know has been going on, that whole project has been going on for many years. So we are looking at a contract for property negotiations and relocation services. We're also going to have 2 public hearings tonight. We had mentioned, or rather discussed, there's about 1/4 of an acre of land that is going to be switching, hopefully, from the drainage utility or to the drainage utility from Public Works streets for the purpose of building a pump station. So that is going to be one of the topics, and the other one is going to be removing restrictive covenants and several easements from the Downey Farmstead project. I believe those were from issue 2, King County. Anyway, we're going to have those public hearings tonight, and there's also residents and businesses should look at their next statement from Republic. There is going to be a credit for the missed day that was between the 12th and the 14th, the missed pickup day that happened due to the work stoppage. I also chair King Conservation District, KCD. So last night, along with my vice chair, Mike Lufkin, we did a presentation to the Board of Supervisors, and that hadn't happened before. They hadn't heard from the advisory committee, and so just gave them a brief overview on our role as my role as an SCA representative along with the City of Kent, and what the advisory committee is looking at and looking forward to this coming year and in the next few years to come. I am liaison to the Spotlight Series, to the Arts Commission. I reminded you about the Spotlight Series. Inspired by Greatness is the current exhibit for Kent Creates. So go to kentcreates.com. You have through the end of the month to get your submission in, and there's a call out for artists. We have 9 traffic boxes, so you've seen some of them around the city with the wraps. With those 9 traffic boxes, we need people to design those. So there's a call out for artists. You have until April 18th to get your submissions in. And so again, call out to artists, send your designs in, and It's a great project we love to have. The last committee is the Mental Illness and Drug Dependency Advisory Committee. We meet Thursday of next week, so I'll have a report at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Fincham. Madam Mayor, that ends our report. As you can see, not only, in the work that we do outside of this here, there's most of us hold leadership position in some of these here, which really, I think, does a good job of representing this city. So I'd like to say thanks to my peers, and we'll keep representing the city as much as we can. In our report, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you, Council President. Before we move on in the agenda, we've put this part off long enough, Council President. Tonight is Derek Matheson's last council meeting. He has he's taken a position with the city of Fife. We did not have any doubt that once they had a chance to meet him and talk with him, that he would be offered that position. So it's something that we have known is coming. I'm going to try and get through this without crying, you guys. I can't tell you how hard this is. Every single thing that all of the council members have talked about tonight, everything on this agenda, every project you see around the city, Derek's fingerprints are on. He has led this city and our leadership team in a way that I don't think anybody else ever could have. Through the last 2 years, through this pandemic, he has been steady and solid and just always knows how to do the right thing. The number of times I have come to him and said, we should do this, and he says, let me sleep on it. And he comes back, and sometimes he says, I think that's okay, and sometimes he says, are you sure? And he's always right. I could not have asked for a better CAO coming in as mayor and for the last 4+ years. You all, you have no idea how amazing he is. And Fife has got absolutely a gem in Derek, and I know that he will lead that city just as expertly as he has done here in Kent for nearly 8 years, right? 8 years? Okay. I can't be more grateful for the hours and time and friendship of Derek Matheson, and I am so grateful. So before I completely lose it, I am going to turn it over to Council President Boyce.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to go down here if that's okay, please. Well, I never thought this day would come. Didn't even think about it, really. But I want to say, I want to say in my profession, I'm an HR professional. Been there for 30+ years, and I have hired some of the top people and been around some of the top people and have observed them. And when I think about all the leaders that I've been around, I will definitely say Derek's in the top 3. And I've been around some great leaders. I mean, he had the whole package. I mean, I decided to look up the word leadership because I just want to kind of talk about some of the quality he has. Honesty, efficient communication. I think we all look forward to that CA report. We can not do anything, read a report, and we up to speed just like that. So really a phenomenal job. Knowledge, consistency, visionary, selflessness, courage, willpower, and honesty. You are a phenomenal leader. We're going to miss you so much. You have done so much for this city over the last 8 years. And out of the 8 years, and I've been council president probably 5 or 8 years, I had never, ever seen him upset. Never. I mean, he is smooth. And I mean, just nothing seems to bother him. And every problem that comes about, he have an answer. And it's the right answer. And there's time that Mayor has said, you can tell when he don't agree with you. And he have a good way of saying, are you sure about that? And that's how polite he is. And when he asks you that, hey, it's time to back up to go to plan B. So, great leader. We're going to miss you. I'm going to ask my council member to come in here for a little bit. And we all going to take time and share a couple of thoughts with you, Derek. So, council member, please come join me. And then, Derek, I'm going to ask you to come join me after they get through, please. Councilman McCoy, you want to go first, please?
Sure. Derek, when I first met you, you were just coming in as a CAO, and I was leaving my job at the mayor's office. I only worked with you at that time just for a short period of time, and I was impressed with the knowledge you brought. And then I came in as a council member, and I look forward to your phone calls on Tuesday mornings. I look forward to your reports on the Fridays when the CAO report comes out in the packet. And if I have any questions or any concerns, I give Derek a call, and he responds, and he's like, I'll look into it. Or, yeah, that's a great idea. Or he gives me, I think he's taught us a lot about a lot of things. And yes, he's always calm. At least I have seen him always calm. And he's an amazing person. And City of Fife, they really, truly, as Mayor mentioned, truly have a gem working for their city. I hope they will treat him as that. And man, our loss is their gain. Then we will definitely miss you. And you're just kind of not going that far, so I'll be reaching out to you. Good luck, Derek.
You got a whole paper here?
I do. I first met Derek when I was running for city council just a couple years ago. The first questions I asked him were, what does he do on a daily basis, and what does a CAO do? He laughed and then graciously answered my questions. Since then, I've grown to trust and respect Derek while also learning a lot from him. Derek is who taught me how to be a council member. You can learn in college how government works and theoretical theories of how to pass and implement policy, but no one teaches you how to actually get things done here in Kent. If I needed to know how to bring up topics or potential policies or talk through conflicts, Derek guided me without judgment. He never rolled his eyes or dismissed any of my concerns. He took them seriously, no matter how trivial. I appreciate Derek's diplomatic manner and ability to suggest alternatives and compromises. When council was stuck and divided on an issue, it is often Derek who came up with a solution, and Kent is a better place because of that. I will miss our Tuesday talks about not only council topics, but also about life and family. I wish him all the best in Fife, and best of luck to Pat in his interim role.
Well, I'm not nearly as prepared as Councilmember Michelle. But Derek, yeah, I want to echo pretty much what everyone is saying. You have taught me so much. As an appointee, it was a little overwhelming. I felt like I was drinking from the fire hose. And the time you gave me at the beginning to just really help ground me and get me a solid foundation of knowledge. I mean, you're just a wealth of knowledge. And yeah, you are the peacekeeper, the idea generator. You are that trusted advisor. And like everybody up here, I look forward to the Tuesday calls, and I'm going to miss those. And the way that you always can generate ideas and you listen to us without judgment, as other ones have touched on, is just really endearing. And because your tendency, if you kind of disagree, is just say, are you sure about that? I just am going to leave it by saying, Fife, are you sure about that, Derek?
Well, Derek, I want to thank you for your leadership. When I was appointed to the council president, little did we know what we were going to be involved in during basically those 2 years because the pandemic hit. And I just have to say you were a mentor. We talked pretty much every week, maybe a few weeks where, we were both taking some time with our families, but we had great, candid conversations, and you mentored me throughout that process. So I am gratefully thankful to have had you to be able to get us through that difficult time. I want to wish you the best. You have an amazing family, and I know that you're doing the right thing for them. We will miss you terribly, and I hope that you will keep in touch, and wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
As the mayor said, when we found out Derek was interviewing over with Fife, we knew that he was going to be gone, because who wouldn't take Derek? You know, he's that shining star. He knows. I've always said, you don't have to know everything. I don't have to have all the answers. I just need to know where I can get the answers. Derek is one of those places I get the answers. Derek is always, always professional. He's always kind. And the whole group of us, we have never seen him upset or angry, not even at us, although there were times he probably should have been. But he is always just there. You can trust what he says. You can take it to the bank. He is going to be the one who's going to be straightforward with you and let you know it's going to be in a kind way. He's not going to be crass about it, but you're going to know, I don't think so. And so I'm going to just miss him, his sense of humor and talking about the families and other things aside from just council, the personality, the smile. He gives back not only to everybody in the job, but he also gives to the community. So he was just a real gift for the city of Kent, for the Kent City Council, for me personally. And I just really appreciate all that you have taught me and all that you have given to us. And just you being you the way you have, and helping me and helping our city and council. Thank you, and may God bless you as you go forward.
Did you come forward? The goal was to make you cry, not you guys cry. But it didn't work, so what the heck. We have something we want to present to you. This is for your lovely wife.
Oh, wow. Thank
you.
you.
Who have loaned you to us.
Thank you.
And we want to make sure you tell Meredith, we really appreciate you, your family, and just what a bright light you have been for us.
Well, thank you. I believe she's watching the Facebook feed, so hi, Meredith.
Hi, Meredith. These are for you. Okay. This is a card we have for you from the council and the council, and we got two of your favorite places you like to go eat. You probably guess what they are.
I might be able to guess.
So we have two gift cards in here. So this is for you here.
Thank
and
you.
Then we have a plaque we want to give to you. And I don't have my glasses, so I'm going to ask you, can you read this for me, please?
Derek Matheson, with sincere appreciation for 8 years of dedicated service to the City of Kent, Chief Administrative Officer, August 2014 to March 2022, presented by the Mayor and Kent City Council.
Wow. So this is for you. Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to let you say a couple words.
All right.
And then we're going to take a picture with you. So if you want to
take
some picture, please.
Thank you.
Put this up here.
Right. Well, first of all, I have to say, so this is what it feels like. I've sat on that side of the dais and watched presentations for 8 years, and now I know what it's like to be the recipient of a presentation, so thank you. And I think that's the key word here. I just want to say thank you to the City of Kent. It has been an absolute pleasure to be part of the City of Kent family. The last 8 years have been among the most challenging, but also the most rewarding of my professional career. I only hope that I have taught others half of what I've learned from them, from all of you during my time here. I want to thank the Mayor and City Council, past and present, for their unwavering support of me. And also acknowledge the passionate, talented, and hardworking directors and employees who make this city work. We're the visible ones. We sit on the dais, we're on the TV channel, but it's our 700 plus employees who make the city work. They're the ones who help victims of crime. They mow our parks, they inspect our buildings, they keep our water, sewer, traffic all flowing in the right direction. And then there's a whole group of people behind the scenes that support those forward-facing employees, and we couldn't operate the city without them. So while I'm leaving the city of Kent, I'm not leaving the Washington City's family. So I expect to see all of you at AWC conferences and other events several times per year. And if there's anything that I can ever do, please don't hesitate to reach out. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for this experience, for your words tonight, and don't be a stranger, because I won't either.
Right,
so thank you.
Madam Mayor, you part of this team. Come take a picture, please.
All right.
Are we close enough?
All right, ready, 1, 2, 3.
Just think we're without our mask.
Yeah.
All right, because Derek has reminded all of us that the work of the city will go on, and we know that it will. We have a fabulous team here, and proof of that is the fact that Pat Fitzpatrick, our city attorney, has agreed to move into the interim CAO role. I could not be happier that he's decided to accept this challenge. We are going to, he's going to be amazing, and I have no doubt. So know that he will be here for all of you as we work through the next phase of what it is to be a part of the leadership team at the City of Kent. So thank you, Pat, for that very, very much. All right, Chief said it, there's always these awkward segues, right? The agenda must go on, so we are going to move on. I want to say thank you to our public speakers tonight for being so patient. Generally, we get to that point in the meeting way sooner than this. We still have 2 public hearings, and then we will turn it over for public comment.
Sydney.
All right, we have 2 public hearings this evening. The first one is on the Washington Avenue South Stormwater Pump Station. So we will now hold a public hearing to consider the surplus and reallocation of land from Public Works streets to the city's drainage utility in order to build the Washington Avenue South Stormwater Pump Station. Staff will give a presentation, and then I'll invite the public to provide testimony, written statements, and other evidence. Public input must relate to the subject of the public hearing. And like I said, we'll have public comment after this. Council members, you may ask questions during the hearing. If you're here to testify on this matter or present written statements or evidence, please sign up at the front table there. With that, we will open the public hearing on the Washington Avenue Stormwater Pump Station. And joining us tonight is our Public Works Director, Chad Barron, to give the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Quite a thing to follow up. We'll go straight into the public hearing. Washington Avenue Pump Station, we've talked about this as Councilmember Fincher described earlier in Public Works Committee several times. The pump station exists today and needs to be relocated for the Signature Point Levee project. Kim, if you go to the next slide. Thank you. It's located at the south end of Washington Avenue, excuse me, just north of the Green River. The existing pump station is on the west side of Washington Avenue and needs to move to the east in order to make way for the Signature Point levee improvements. The area in question, next slide please, includes just over a quarter acre of property that needs to be transferred from the street department to the drainage utility. And what's happened here is that Washington State Department of Transportation took this property back in 1968 for improvements to SR 181 and then transferred it to the city in 1986. And part of that property transfer included provisions that if it were to be sold, that the proceeds from that sale would be used for street purposes. And in going through the process of locating the pump station there, we need to make it formal that the drainage utility owns the property and not the street utility. So that's the reason for the hearing. We need to move forward with the surplus and then transfer the property rights. Under Chapter 3.12 of the Kent City Code, it requires that the city hold at least one informational public hearing, that's tonight, and receive public comment before surplusing any of its property. We also, under state law, require that the city holds the public hearing for proposal to remove the restrictive covenant that's on the property, and also for a quitclaim deed that we got from WashDOT to approve that sale from the street utility to the drainage utility. Additionally, under state law, we require that when property is reallocated from one department to another, it must be paid for at its true and full value. For this reason, the drainage utility fund must pay the street funds for the property being transferred. We think this value is around $340,000. We will set the value as the transfer is being made, but council can approve that without the exact dollars and cents. So we did provide public notice for tonight's hearing in accordance with state law and the Kent City Code. And then the resolution declares the portion of property needed to complete the project as surplus, authorizes the council its administrative reallocation from the city's streets to the drainage utility, and authorizes the removal of the use restrictions that are on the property today. We did ask for public input prior to the hearing and received 2 comments that were really questions that staff took care of before the meeting, so there's really nothing to read into the record with regard to that.
Okay.
With that, I'm done with my presentation.
All right. Thanks, Chad. Kim, do we have anyone signed up to give public testimony or written statements to add into the record?
I do not have any.
All right. Council, any questions? All right. Seeing none, with that, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The public hearing is now closed. All right, with that, a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 2034, declaring .28 acres of land within the Public Works Streets area surplus, authorizing the reallocation of the surplus land to the drainage utility, and authorizing the mayor to take all actions necessary to remove any use restrictions from the surplus land, and to take all actions necessary to fully implement the terms of this resolution relating to the Washington Avenue South Stormwater Pump Station Project.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right, we will move on to the second public hearing. All of the same rules apply that I read previously. This is a public hearing regarding the Downey Farmstead Side Channel Salmon Habitat Restoration Project. We will go ahead and open the public hearing, and I'll turn it back over to Chad.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilmember Fincher mentioned earlier, again, this was discussed in the Public Works Committee meeting. This is about the Downey Farmstead project. This is our off-channel habitat and flood protection project that we've discussed in front of council, and I'm sure a lot of people watching at home have heard about it. Most of the funding, if not almost all the funding for this project is from grants. And the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office Salmon Recovery and Funding Board has granted a lot of that money. The last grant that we received was in September of 2020. And in taking that money, it required that any encumbrances on the property that we purchased for the Downey project would be lifted from the project before moving forward. It turns out that several of these are called river protection easements are seen as conflicting with the goals of the grant. So the council needs to relinquish any of the rights that the city has in those existing grants, existing easements in order to allow us to move forward and complete the project, accept those funds from some surfboard and move forward. So same discussion as last time. It's just lifting those restrictive covenants.
All right, thanks, Chad. Council, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Kim, do we have any speakers or anything, any written testimony?
I do not.
All right. With that, a motion would be in order to close the public hearing.
So move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is closed. With that, a motion would be in order for this resolution.
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 2035, authorizing the mayor to accept the relinquishment of 3 easements granted to King County, to take any actions necessary to remove the restrictive covenants on the city's property, and to sign all necessary documents relating to the Downey Farmstead Side Channel Salmon Habitat Restoration Project.
Second.
I've got a motion and 2 seconds. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Chad. All right, now we are going to move on to public comment. I feel like this might be kind of fun. Just some quick reminders. Public comment period is an opportunity to speak to the council or the mayor on issues that relate to the business of City of Kent or agenda items the council will be considering at this meeting. Comments that don't relate to the business of the City of Kent are not permitted, and just as a reminder, Washington state law prohibits public comment to support or oppose a ballot measure. We do have a 3-minute timer. If when you come up, you could state your name and city of residence for the record. And I know we've got some special circumstance, maybe a little tag team here, so we'll go through at least a couple of those 3-minute windows. Kim, could you call our speakers, please?
Thank you. I have 2 people signed up to speak, Linda McIntosh and Cynthia Boyd.
You're lucky this isn't in tune. I'm not singing. You promised.
Okay, after party. Mayor Ralph, Council President Boyce, and council members, we appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. This has been a heavy-duty meeting. I hope we're going to make it a little lighter for you. We're here to talk with you tonight about a program called Music for Life. And I have with us tonight several members of the board of Music for Life. So we have people you probably know, Harry Williams, a longtime activist in the Kent area, Allison Johnson, who's our president, and a member of the Kent School District staff. We have Cynthia Boyd, who her title isn't really correct. She really runs Kent Station. Yeah. And Brenda Farwell, well, you know, Brenda does it all. So we're here to talk to you about this program. March is Music in Our Schools Month, and so we thought it was an appropriate time to come and talk to you. We like to share with you the Music for Life program, and this is a program we do with the Kent School District. So our organization collects musical instruments, we fix them up, and we give them to the Kent School District for students who want to play music. There are many studies that have been conducted about the effects of music education on students. Students who play musical instruments do better in math and science and all of the STEM programs that are offered to them. Now, as I understand it, because I'm not a scientist, what happens is when you learn music, you rewire some of the brain passages that you have, and then those passages are also used to learn more technical things. So what we are doing is not only teaching students music, but we're giving them the ability to learn other kinds of information. Some of the other pluses that kids get is that by playing instruments, they learn new skills. They work as a team, and they need to practice and support their team. And they do that with their skills. Sometimes it's necessary for them to even learn eye-hand coordination. Imagine if you were an oboe player in an orchestra, you would have to learn to be very independent, as well as to be a member of in a group that produces harmony. Some of the things that also happen are that kids who are in musical programs have friends with like interests and values. They can also have an occasion to not be on the streets at night, so we work on that. Chief Padilla told me earlier that he played trumpet as a kid, and look where it gets you if you play an instrument. So 2 things we do And one of the things we do is we collect used instruments, of which we have several for you to see. And we give them, we repair them, refurbish them, we clean them up, we make them play ready, and then we give them to the school district to give to kids. We commend Superintendent Vela for his work with the music programs, and they support us 100% as we do this program. We also raise money, and the money goes to fixing the instruments up. We have wonderful contacts with instrument companies, and they give us a discount because it is for schools. So they may do things like give us a new bow for the violin. The bow's terrible. They may do new pads for the flute keys. They may give us a mouthpiece for a tuba, or they may just give us a case so the kids can carry their instrument from home to school. If you, this is part of the ask, have an instrument sitting around your house, Mayor, or you know somebody who does, we would love to have that instrument and put it to use. The lifetime of an instrument can be up to 15 years. And so an instrument that we collect and rehab could go to 5 to 7 different students in its lifetime. We are a 501c3 organization, and so your instrument is a donation to that. And I'm going to turn this over to Cynthia, but one more thing before I finish is I want to thank you and the Arts Commission for the donation you have given to our program. And now Cynthia's going to do her guitar.
No, it was just a prop in case you didn't know what an instrument looked like. I'm just, real quick, the month of March, as she mentioned, is Music in Schools Month. And so this month we're doing a community challenge. And so I would love for all of you to please find the Kent Music for Life on Facebook. And we have a little information on there about the community challenge. We're just basically trying to really push the need for musical instruments that will serve our Kent School District students. And if you don't have an instrument, there's a handy little QR code. Everybody's gotten used to using those through COVID. So all you got to do is scan it and you can just donate. We will also take your money. So we're going to hand these out to people. And do please find Kent Music for Life on Facebook. And the last thing is, in July, we're going to actually have a fundraiser, and Darren Matamedy is going to be doing a concert for Kent Music for Life. And so, again, please follow us on Facebook, and you'll know everything that we've got coming up. So thank you so much.
All right. I have a question. Thank you. Did you say the question? Yeah. Council President Boyce has a question.
Oh, more of a comment. At my workplace, we do matching donation, and I also donate to a PAC. So if you give me your 501c3, I will transfer it over to this committee here.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. As a former music student in the Kent School District from 5th grade up through 12th grade, I will tell you, in fact, we found a picture of this during the State of the City address from me and jazz band. There's a lot of those students that I was in band with that I am still friends with today. So it definitely, music has a way of creating bonds. My former trumpet player in the jazz band is my accountant. So, you know, there you go. There's the math part. She got all the math. That is not where my pathways didn't get wired for math, no matter how much music I played. Thank you guys so much for doing what you're doing for our students. It's much, much appreciated. All right, that was a much more fun public comment. Thank you for lightening this meeting up. With that, we are going to move on to our consent calendar. This is a compilation of work that the City Council members have done in committee over the last several weeks. They had presentations, conversation, and it is moved out of those committees without controversy. Tonight we have items A through N, with that additional item being added for the excused absence for Councilmember Thomas. Is there a motion to accept the consent calendar?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item A through N.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. All right. Item number 9 is other business. We do have some other business this evening. We have a negotiation of a development agreement and purchase and sale agreement with Avenue 55 for the sale of the property referred to as the Naden Assembly. And joining us this evening is Bill Ellis.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members. Good evening. I will turn over in a moment to our team from Avenue 55, but First, I have a little presentation just to recall where we've been and why are we here tonight on the Naden Avenue property. So I'll just wait one moment for that to come up. Oh, it's in the workshop folder, committee folder, sorry. ECDC. Yeah, sorry, I should have moved it over. Wait one sec. There we are. Thank you very much. So first, I just want to bring up some statistics about the Kent Valley. Since 2005, we've had some pretty large growth in the manufacturing base in terms of jobs, but we've noticed that there's been a decrease of workplaces, decrease in the number of manufacturing firms. And if you recall, a few years back, we had some discussions when Shape Technologies was moving some of its manufacturing east. We went into the Rally the Valley process and we looked at a series of things that we could do to retain the high growth, high job sector in our valley. So employment growth is increasingly being concentrated into a fewer number of manufacturing places. And I think these charts kind of help illustrate that story a little bit more. Chart on your left with the stark cliff face going up is the rising rents for industrial and for industrial rents in the Kent Valley. So we've seen 90% increases in rents over the last few years. That's mostly driven by e-commerce and online sales, which we're not targeting for our downtown or for the Naden property, but it does point to the overall headwind that we face when it comes to retaining and growing headquarters offices of regional manufacturing here in Kent. The chart on your right shows that, and I've said this before at full council, at one point we had about 90% of all the construction that was going on in the Puget Sound for industrial warehouse. So we're adding lots of supply and it's being absorbed and rents are still going up at the same time. So there's been this enormous growth into warehousing, but I want to point out that doesn't necessarily mean that it's been a growth in manufacturing firms. They are within that category, something that we are looking as an opportunity. So we positioned our property to take advantage of the opportunity to bring prime industry, high wage, high technology jobs that constitute a large part of our manufacturing base into our downtown core. And there was even a quote just over the weekend in the Puget Sound Business Journal, if you hadn't seen it. QI2, which is a legacy firm here in Kent, was acquired by another firm in Austin, Texas. They're keeping their employees here, but they go back to the Boeing Research Center days. They've had many different names, Flow, Quest, now they are QI2. But they're growing again, and one of their vice presidents was quoted as saying, we need more employee space, we're going to need more locations in Kent. It could be a challenge, though, with Amazon in the area. The tech giant has 3 fulfillment centers in the area. They're taking all the space. We're feeling a bit confined. So that was kind of an apropos statement to what we've been doing with the Naden property, positioning it as a manufacturing headquarters, recognizing there's a lot of employment-rich, sort of office-heavy, flex tech type space demand out there that isn't necessarily being supplied to. And even if it were, there's a lot of demand for it still. However, since we were doing something creative, we did a request for qualifications. We did that back, we selected Avenue 55 back in November of 2020. We were trying to position the city property to gain that prime industry employment in our central business district. We have executed an MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, with that group back in February of 2021. A few weeks ago, we extended that MOU to March 22nd, 2022, and I know that that is soon to expire. So we're seeking out now a manufacturing build-to-suit or flex tech business card. And what you're about to hear is sort of the result of the last year's worth of work from Avenue 55, working with the city collaboratively under the understanding that we had with them to realize interest onto our property and sort of make good on the promise of trying to recruit, retain, expand manufacturing headquarters into our downtown. With that, I'll invite over the team from Avenue 55 to say a few words. Drew?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bill, and good evening, council members and Mayor Ralph. My name is Drew Zaborowski, and I'm a Senior Development Manager at Avenue 55. Behind me, I have Nick Yaman, a Development Associate with Avenue 55, and Joe Blattner, our President at Avenue 55. Avenue 55 has spent the last year hard at work on the Naden property, or as we like to call it, the Kent Technology Center. Before diving too far into the Kent Technology Center, I thought I'd give you a quick recap of who Avenue 55 is. Avenue 55 was founded in 2013 by Joe Blattner, who has over 30 years of development experience in the Kent Valley and most notably developed Kent Station. Over the past 9 years, Avenue 55 has primarily focused on industrial and flex product types to strategically fill market needs. We've developed everything from $50 million industrial business parks to urban infill multi-story flex projects catered to R&D, high-tech, and life science tenants. We are a private, local real estate company, which allows us to be nimble and react quickly to ever-changing market conditions. So where do we stand? As Bill mentioned, Avenue 55 and the City of Kent executed a memorandum of understanding in February of 2001 on the Naden property. We immediately got to work to understand the potential tenants who'd be interested in leasing and owning space. The brokerage firm Newmark, Knight & Frank was retained to lead these efforts, which Nick will discuss in a second. Simultaneously, we retained the architecture and engineering firm McKinsey to lead preliminary feasibility and design efforts with a specific focus on the interurban trail, washed-out requirements, relocation of Naden Avenue, and Meet Me on Meeker directives, just to name a few. Of course, none of this wouldn't have happened without working hand-in-hand with the City of Kent. Nick will now share some insight into what potential opportunities Avenue 55 foresees at the Kent Technology Center, as evidenced by various letters of interest and preliminary massing studies completed to date.
Thank you, Drew. Madam Mayor, council members. As Drew mentioned, one of our primary focuses over the last 12 months has been marketing this beautiful property that you have assembled in your downtown proper. So the question on everybody's minds is who is interested in this project specifically. So as we gathered interest, we like to put those parties which have demonstrated interest into one of three buckets, the first of which being, of course, high-tech manufacturing users. The list of users that you see here are ones that are looking for headquarters for their manufacturing space. So they want a building that's highly flexible to cater to their manufacturing, clear heights, clean floors, etc., but also one that has attractive curb appeal that could act as their headquarters to serve their employees. We spoke with one of these groups a number of weeks ago prior to touring the site itself, and one of their first questions was, are there places to have lunch around there? And we said, yes, there certainly are in downtown Kent. So this is a location that employers are attracted to as they try to go recruit talent, not only proximity to amenities, but also for the convenience of their commute. So this is the first bucket. We will move along to the second bucket of users, these nonprofit and STEM groups that Bill has done a phenomenal job spearheading and reaching out to. These are groups that want to be co-located together. They have synergies with one another, but also want close proximity to some of those high-tech manufacturers for the purpose of career goals and aspirations for the young people that they're working with. These are some groups that have voiced interest in having some collaborative event space, some classrooms for the purpose of STEM education and working specifically with the young folks here in the city of Kent. I'd like to emphasize that they need proximity to high-tech manufacturing for those career aspirations that I mentioned. So not only are there synergies between these groups specifically, but other groups that we've identified as well. A little bit more about these nonprofits. These are groups that are very attractive to a city in terms of the education purposes that they bring, but ones that bring challenges as well. As Bill mentioned, rents increasing 90% in the Kent Industrial Valley really poses a challenge for these nonprofit educational groups. That in turn, with their nonprofit nature, leads to some financing complexities for them in terms of entities that offer bankability when it comes to a project. And so the path forward in addressing some of those concerns is going to be collaboration with the city and having those education uses, specifically when it comes to high-tech manufacturing in your downtown is something that we're looking forward to working with the city on, making sure that those are in downtown Kent. Finally, the third bucket is a miscellaneous group. I mean, we absolutely ran the gamut when it came to entertaining potential uses on this site, from the 4,000 square foot nonprofit group to Space United, which engaged us on discussing a rooftop soccer field on top of a manufacturing building with some complementary maker space. So there are some things that we saw over the course of the last year that we've certainly never engaged with when it comes to tenant interest. So some more examples of some of these folks wanted retail activation along Meeker, which is a beautiful thing with the Meet Me on Meeker initiatives. Some of them are breweries and tap rooms. Some of them are education related. So when it comes to the sheer amount and variety of interest that this site has generated, it's truly been astonishing. And so simultaneously to the marketing effort, we've also engaged with our architect on some preliminary engineering and massing studies. This is the very first swing that we took at a potential site plan. The orange box up top is retail focus fronting Meeker. You have two potential manufacturing facilities of varying sizes. Again, a very preliminary stab at what a site plan could look like. But we continued to refine those plans, and we engaged with the city on a pre-app meeting to identify some of the intricacies involved with such a project, identifying different utility easements, potential improvement standards for a relocated Naden Avenue, the WashDOT box that's been pre-designed and approved by the Department of Transportation. So we started to dig into the details along with kind of the fun marketing efforts as well. As I mentioned, we ran the gamut when it came to uses. This is an example of a potential 500,000 square foot, 9-story office headquarters. So when we talk about size and variety, we're now ranging from 4,000 to 500,000 square feet. I mean, that's essentially everything. But we had to rely on those users that we have written letters of interest from, those that were willing to provide hard copies exemplifying their interest. And so those users that we started to focus on included, those rocket and aerospace high-tech manufacturers. We factored in the Meet Me on Meeker retail activation. We talked to a group that wanted a STEM playground, a STEM garden to facilitate some of those educational aspects. And so we started to take those users and start to hone in on what this project could start to look like. These are preliminary renderings of the project, but based on real feedback that we've gotten from those users that have provided letters of interest to us. And so here you can start to see the project take a little bit of shape. These are the first renderings we've gotten. They are flexible and subject to change, but wanted to give you an image of this project and kind of what it could potentially entail. So we'll dive into it in a little bit more detail. But here you're seeing the retail frontage along Meeker that I discussed. I acknowledge we haven't fully integrated those standards. We're aware of that, and we'll make sure to do that in future renderings. The Spark building is designed to be a placeholder for some of those collaborative nonprofit and STEM users. That lobby off of the public plaza is potentially an entrance for the auditorium or event space where they'll have robotics competitions and such. As we progress, south along the new Naden Avenue. We're looking at an aerospace or high-tech manufacturing headquarters could look like, putting those high-paying engineering jobs in downtown Kent, walking around for lunch and what have you. A little bit of a nod to the interurban trail improvements along the east side of the project. We spoke to one user group that specifically identified that one lowly loading door on the right-hand side of the image. But for the users that we talked to in the aerospace industry, they're building big rockets, and so they require an oversized loading door to get those sent to their government contracts or military folks or whoever needs to have those delivered. So again, aspects of requirements that users have provided feedback on, but very preliminary in terms of design and improvements and what have you. A potential look at what the lobby entrance and plaza could look like. This is designed to be office headquarters on the left-hand side, with the right-hand side leading to the manufacturing floor. You can see it off to the left-hand side of this larger picture for reference. And finally, we're continuing to play on the high-tech manufacturing imagery, people collaborating and working together, engineering jobs that are high-paying and going to bring those to downtown Kent. If you look in the background there, you're envisioning big high windows overlooking a manufacturing floor, and that looks like a rocket to me, doesn't it? So today we're proposing that we move to negotiate a development agreement, and I think Bill can shed a little bit more light on specifically
I'll just expound on
what our ask is. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick. And just, to recall, the Museum of Flight has offered to donate a rocket to us some time ago. We just haven't had a place to put it. So I don't think it's quite as tall as that rendering, but it's kind of a placeholder as a monument sign for now. And that's something we've long talked about, is something to feature at a potential gateway location. So as was referenced in the overview there, it's going to take some participation in the city if we're interested in landing some of these nonprofits and given their mission to have exposure to these career paths and have near neighborhood to downtown resources, nearby schools, nearby parks. At this location, it also really advantages them to have this potential mentor pool, and that's something that a lot of them have expressed to me, that when they've been in industrial locations kind of far off from schools and having to bus people in, it just never worked out. So proximity really does matter for them, and that co-location piece really does matter. But as Nick mentioned, it's something about strength of signature for nonprofits to financing as compared to a private development team. So a private business interest. And so that's something where a development agreement is a departure from code. So one of the things that we would be looking at here is constraining the types of uses that would occur here for the manufacturing uses. And so that's why we're proposing to negotiate a development agreement and a purchase and sale agreement to enable these types of uses with Avenue 55. What we're seeking today is a motion, I'm looking at Pat Fitzpatrick, our city attorney, in case I say this incorrectly, but we're looking to enter into official negotiations with Avenue 55 so that we can start to lock in place terms for these end users, terms meaning pricing, terms meaning time to deliver, try to create that certainty. And so seeking authorization today to negotiate the development agreement and purchase a sale agreement tonight. And we will come back to council, of course, and the development agreement process itself also engenders public hearing and additional votes. So this will be something where there'll be additional approvals before we're at a final product. This is a reflection and an interpretation of the letters of interest, non-binding letters of interest received to date from some select users. I think it's enough to justify this sort of unique thing that we're doing in our downtown, and I think we should have confidence that we will have a great project to bring back to you once we've negotiated a development agreement and purchase and sale agreement. Any other further comments from my colleagues here?
No, happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Avenue 55. We are really excited with this vision. Council, are there any questions for the team? Council President Boyce.
Just a comment. Hey, great job in the presentation. We've been talking about this here for quite some time, and I'd say kudos to the ECDC team here for really looking at this and bringing this forward, and also to the president. You got some great leaders here. Was able to present this here presentation. I just wanted to say, hey, like it's getting closer to home. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity we could be able to do with this here. So I'm really pleased to see this here coming close to something we can actually almost touch. So good job to the Bill, you, and, Kurt and his team, right? So really for just staying with it and making this all happen and so on and kind of working through everything. So I just say great job. I'm really excited about this piece of property. So thank you.
And Mr. Blattner has great history in Kent, so we're excited about that. Council Member Troutner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, thank you, Drew and Nick, for spending 2 nights in a row with some of us. We appreciate it. Unfortunately, I asked this question after the meeting. So just in case anyone had the same question, you had those 3 buckets with potential tenants. Some of them were in bold. Is that for a particular reason or?
Yeah, bold is emphasis, right? Bold are those groups that have provided us written interest, those that we refer to them as LOIs, letters of intent or interest. And so those are groups that we have those letters in hand from.
Right, which is very exciting. We are having a conversation of, oh my gosh, do we want this or do we want this? So really a great list.
Companies on there in non-bold, I mean, we received endless calls, and our marketing team received endless calls about the property. A lot of distribution requirements, as you can imagine. So we wanted to show a lot of the interest that we've seen, but also emphasize, as Nick mentioned, the strong prospects.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, then a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I move to permit staff to negotiate with Avenue 55 a development agreement and purchase and sale agreement for the Naden Assembly.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Of course.
Thank you, Bill, for the tremendous amount of work. We're grateful.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to item number 10 on our agenda. We have 3 bids this evening. The first one is City of Kent Courthouse and Corrections Facility Generator Replacement Bid Award. And joining us is Will this evening. Facilities, what official title?
Superintendent.
Superintendent, okay, there you go.
Yeah. It's a lot of letters. It is. All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council President, Council members. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm here to present the Kent Corrections and Municipal Court generator upgrades. Before us is a slide here that shows the existing conditions. Circled in red, and then the square box, the red square box, is the existing generator for the jail. And there's not currently a generator that serves the courthouse. So this project puts one large generator where the yellow box is to serve both the jail and the courthouse. The sidewalk that connects the yellow box to the red box, that's where the electrical would run to serve the jail. And then the electrical for the courthouse runs around that back right corner. And then that green box you see there, that's the old generator for the jail. Currently it's about 38 years old, so it's due for life cycle replacement. It still works and operational, but obviously this is key infrastructure for that campus right there. Some key notes here is that we, in collaboration with IT, there's a really nice IT closet in courthouse that will allow for expanded infrastructure for the jail. Commander McCuson is looking to upgrade the security cameras, and they need to house that, but have it be on backup power, really reliable backup power. So not only do we solve our life cycle need for the jail, we incorporate the courthouse, and then future-proof it for IT infrastructure and reliability overall on the campus. So with that, we we had an okay turnout at the walkthrough. 3 contractors showed up. We did receive 1 qualified bid. We did, and it was A to B builders. So our engineer's estimate, it was $420,000. This bid came in at $461,000, but we feel it's fair due to the increase in construction costs since this went out for bid. Currently, there's major lead time delays on this equipment. Our generator is probably 8 to 12 months out at this point in time from what everyone's telling us. So the longer we wait, the more the prices will go up and so on and so forth, as we're all used to hearing these days. So with that, I recommend we move forward with the bid from A to B Builders for a total project cost of $508,639.98.
All right, any questions?
Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Will?
Is that thing worth any money? The Ant T is older than some of the council members up there. So, yeah.
Believe it or not, there are companies that do look at buying the old equipment.
Really?
Like that, yes.
Okay.
But that one, we'll look into it. But it is at end of life.
Yard art someplace.
Yard
Yeah.
art.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, then a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I move to award the Kent Courthouse and Corrections Facility Generator Replacement to A to B Builders, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $508,639.98, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Parks Director and City Attorney.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks for your patience tonight. All right, we have 2 remaining bids. And joining us for both of them is Chad Beeren, our Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mayor. First one up is East Tacoma Street, Kensington Avenue drainage improvements. And this is an area that's coming down Scenic Hill. Just in the last 15 years or so, where Scenic Hill has been mostly built out, there have been a few new housing developments up there, and we've seen increased flows coming off the hill, and of course combined with a little bit of climate change, we think. We've had a lot of erosion in this ravine. We've called it, if you get in there, there are several areas that have eroded quite a bit. On the left there, that's upstream of and a drier day. Then the picture on the right, it actually goes between properties and then comes down onto Kensington Avenue, which is a back street down Scenic Hill, and then down along Kensington Avenue, where we're going to pipe the existing ditches and come down into Earthworks Park. So put this bid out for about a month ago, received 5 bids ranging between $407 and $541. As Will mentioned earlier, we're seeing a little bit of price increase everywhere. So our engineer's estimate was $410. Would like to have seen more prices, in the range of and below that, but we weren't the low bidder, so that's the good news. So $407, we're recommending award to Olson Brothers Excavating. They've done work with us before, and we've had good experiences with them.
All right, any questions? Okay, then a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I move to award the East Tacoma Street, Kensington Avenue Drainage Improvement Project to Olson Brothers Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $407,406, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and Public Works Director.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right, last bid this evening is the 2022 Asphalt Grinding Bid.
Thank you. Annually, we put out a bid, a project to have a grinder come in and grind out asphalt in front of our Public Works ops crews. They come through with our own street paver and do grind and inlays, we've called them in the past. So we put out an advertisement for a number of half days. We call them in for a half day, have them work, and then our crew follows along and does the paving. We don't own a grinder. They're very expensive to own and maintain, and we've had a lot of good luck going year in and year out with these grinding contracts, and we've tended to receive good prices. So As you can see from the information sheet, we had 2 bids on the project. Low bid was $94,850. We had an engineer's estimate of $160, so that these bids are still coming in good, and we'll continue to advertise these as long as they come in with good prices. So with that, we recommend award to statewide parking lot services this year.
Okay, any questions?
Okay, question. I'm just curious, how much a grinder cost, Chad?
Boy, we looked into it several years ago. I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
It wasn't hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was not, they're not tens of thousands of dollars. And we actually looked on the used market too, and you can imagine what a grinder goes through. I mean, literally grinding out 2 to 3 or 4 inches of pavement. So they're really maintenance intensive. And that was the thing that got us to walk away from it. We had a fairly large first cost, and then year in and year out. We have such a small fleet group that we thought they'd be on it all the time trying to keep it on the street.
But we do grinders. We do a lot of grinding, though, right? I mean,
there's a fair amount. If you look on the map, you know, our paving operation obviously isn't as big as contractors, and we don't want to get that big.
Okay.
We can't get that big because of restrictions on the work we can do in house. So this really, they keep up with us.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, then a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I move to award the 2022 asphalt grinding project to Statewide Parking Lot Services, Inc. in the amount of $94,850 and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thanks, Chad. All right, that brings us to item number 11. We do have an executive session this evening to discuss current or potential litigation. We're anticipating about 10 minutes. There will not be action following executive session. So with that, council will adjourn into executive session. Welcome back. Council is coming back from executive session. There is no further action. With that, I want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day coming up. Hopefully the rain is behind us and we can enjoy a beautiful weekend. And with that, we are adjourned.